Good day everyone. For today's lesson, I'm going to discuss about the Earth as a planet together with Miss Leila Mariel Villanueva. So in this lesson, we have actually 7 subtopics that includes the Earth as a planet, the Earth's interior, the age of Earth, motion in the Earth's interior, the Earth's magnetic field, the Earth's atmosphere, and lastly, the spin of the Earth. But before anything else, we're going to discuss first the 3 major theories about how the universe started. So we have here the Big Bang theory, the steady state theory, and the oscillating theory. I know all of you were familiar about this Big Bang theory. So as mentioned here, it is the widely accepted theory which states that approximately 4.5 billion years ago, our universe began with an explosion of space itself, starting from extremely high density and temperature. The space expanded and then the universe cooled, and the simplest elements formed called pebbles, which then formed boulder, then eventually became the Earth. So George Lemaitre, 1894-1966, he is a Belgian cosmologist, a Catholic priest who proposed the theory of the Big Bang and was known as the father of the Big Bang theory. Second one, we have the steady state theory, which states that everything is the same. So different from what the Big Bang theory suggests, that there is beginning to the universe that was simplest form of called pebbles, which then formed boulder, then eventually became the Earth. So this steady state theory suggests that there is no beginning and there is no end because everything is the same. So it never produced a black body or a situation in which all state variables are constant in spite of the ongoing processes that strive to change then. But this theory was disapproved because there are lots of errors. So in short, steady state theory claims that kung ano yung universe before, the same siya until now. And the last one, we have the oscillating theory, which agrees to the Big Bang theory. So it is a cosmological model that combines both the Big Bang and the Big Crunch as part of the cyclical event. Simply means it starts with a Big Bang or a big explosion, and then it will end with a big crunch. So in order for you to become aware what is this big crunch, actually big crunch will happen if dark energy became weak enough. Gravity might ultimately win the tug of war and pull the universe back, or itself the universe would be experience that big crunch. So the collapse initially would just be very harmless. The density of the universe would increase but very slowly. So don't worry, because before this will happen, actually billion years pa ang after dadaan before mag-experience yung tinatawag natin na big crunch. So much for that. Let's continue. The Earth as a planet. Earth is the third nearest planet to the Sun, considering that Mercury is the first, followed by Venus, and then the third is the Earth, and so on and so forth. In size, it is the 5th largest planet with a radius of 3,959 miles. Most of us are curious to know why the Earth is called blue planet. So, dati, curious din ako about dito. But then, we have an explanation about that. Because Earth has almost 70% of water, that's why it looks blue in color. And even if the Earth has an abundance of water, but unfortunately, always bear in mind this, that only 3% of it is usable by humans. Out of the fresh water available on Earth, only 31% is accessible for use, and about 69% of fresh water is in a form of ice cap and glaciers in places like Antarctic. Another, the word Earth is Old English word for land. Earth name in English, the international language of astronomy, derived from Old English and Germanic words for land or ground. And it is the only name for a planet of solar system that does not come from Greco-Roman mythology, gaya ng ibang planet kilala, like for example the Jupiter and the Venus. Galing siya sa Greco-Roman mythology. And continue. The Earth is so for the only planet which consists of life system, or the only planet known to harbor life because it has the right chemical ingredients for lives, including water, air, carbon, and also the presence of oxygen in the air in an appropriate proportion that supports life. Yet, Earth remains a standout and so far one-of-a-kind planet of the thousands of exoplanets, planets around other stars, or it's still the only planet known to host life. Another one, Earth is also known as habitable planet or in Goldilocks zone because it is located at an optimal distance from the sun, thus it is neither too hot nor too cold. Goldilocks zone din siya kasi yung distance ng Earth that orbits the sun is just right for the water to remain a liquid. So life can grow and reproduce at temperature as low as -15 degrees and as high as 122 degrees Celsius. Although there are some areas sa planet Earth na sobrang init, kung tawagin natin ay desert, and then meron ding sobrang lamig, but then generally planet Earth can support life. In addition to this, another interesting fact about this lesson is that dalawang planeta yung nakapaloob sa tinatawag nating Goldilocks zone, that includes Mars, pero Mars cannot sustain water. Hindi kagaya ng Earth na mayroon talagang water that can support for long time na tinatawag natin. What will happen if a planet Earth was too hot? So, we won't have any liquid water na matitira kasi it will be boiled away din naman, just like what will happen in the Venus. So, Venus is considered as the hottest planet, although na Mercury yung pinakamalapit sa sun, but then the atmosphere of Venus was full of greenhouse gas called the carbon dioxide. That's why sobrang init doon. So, lifeless. And then, another thing is, what if yung Earth is sobrang lamig? So, if it is too cold, liquid water will be frozen and turns into solid one. So, it will be usable. Just like what will happen in Uranus. Uranus is about 20 times farther away. So, it is considered as the coldest planet in the entire solar system. And then the lowest temperature recorded in there was -225 degrees Celsius. Imagine that, sobrang lamig, so lifeless. So we're blessed, we're considered blessed because we're living in what we call the Goldilocks zone, which is everything is just right. The conditions necessary for life on Earth as follows. Number 1, optimum distance from the sun. So as mentioned earlier, we're living in what we call the habitable zone or the Goldilocks zone, wherein the temperature is just right for the water to remain liquid. Hindi rin siya gaanong mainit, hindi rin gaanong kalayo, although there are some places na may sobrang init talaga and then may sobrang lamig. But then when we talk it generally, the ideal temperature of the Earth is just 17 degrees Celsius. The third is the presence of atmosphere. The presence of atmosphere actually plays a very significant role in our planet. So, each of the atmosphere layers actually plays a role in ensuring our planet can host all manner of life, doing everything from blocking cancer cosmic radiation to creating the pressure required to produce water. So let's continue. The Earth's interior. Geologist is the one that studies the forces that makes and shape the planet Earth. The one also who studied the characteristics of rock, the material that forms Earth's hard surfaces, that follows the chemical makeup or what they're made of, and the physical appearance, what they look like. And also, they study about the processes that create or destroy Earth's features. They search for the clues about the Earth's histories, map out where different types of rocks are found on or beneath Earth's surface. So the forces beneath Earth's surface are always changing the way Earth's surface looks. So when we say constructive, these are the forces that shape the surface by building up mountains and other land masses. While the destructive is that forces that shape the surface by slowly wearing away feature of the Earth's surface. Due to what we call the extreme conditions in Earth's interior, exploration beneath the surface is usually not possible. The geologist cannot always observe Earth's interior directly, especially at great depth. They use indirect method. So in example of indirect method is what we call the seismic waves, or the waves produced during an earthquake. So to familiarize, we have here the layers of the Earth. So I know all of you are familiar about this. So we have the crust, the mantle, the outer core, and the inner core. So the Earth layers. The Earth is about 24,900 miles in circumference. The 4 layers makes up the portion of the Earth. The core is the center of the Earth and made up of solid iron or nickel. The inner core is the portion of the core is solid. Kung titingnan natin or magbe-base tayo sa egg, yung pinaka loob niyon ay tinatawag natin na inner core, the same sa Earth. And then sa outer core is the portion liquid. So we have the two types of what we call the core, the inner and the outer. So the inner is the solid and the outer is liquid. Second is the mantle. This part has several layers. It contains most on Earth's mass. The magma in the mantle is molten rock. Last, the crust, the thin layer of rock on its surface. The Earth's surface, it is 19 to 37 miles thick. Or in short, sa crust tayo nakatira. How old is the Earth? The age of the Earth is difficult to determine with absolute certainty. Kasi wala naman nabuhay before. Nag-base lang tayo sa tinatawag natin na science. It is thought to be about 4.57 billion years ago. This age is based on dating of both the oldest terrestrial minerals on Earth and of meteorite and lunar samples, which provide its estimates of the age of solar system. Pero ang pagkakaalam ko is nakabase talaga sila sa tinatawag natin dito na terrestrial minerals, yung pinaka-oldest na natatagpuan, doon sila nakabase sa mga bato, tinatawag natin na present na talaga siya noon pa lang. So, geologic time, a method of looking back at Earth's history based on the information preserved in the fossils and other rock structures of the rock record. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Nakabase siya sa method na tinatawag natin na geologic time. The geologic time scale, a summary table of the geologic history on Earth, organized into divisions based on major changes or events that took place, the 4 eras and 15 periods. Geologic time scale, Aeon is the largest subdivision of geological time. First 3 aeons is the Hadean, Archean, and Proterozoic, are collectively known as the Precambrian Aeon. Aeons are subdivided into eras. Eras are subdivided into periods, and periods are subdivided into epochs. Motion in the Earth's interior, continental drift. The theory made by German meteorologist Alfred Wegener is in 1912. It said that the continents used to all be together in supercontinent called Pangaea, which drifted apart and are still moving. The three pieces of evidence to support this theory: number one, continent boundaries fit together like a puzzle. So, as we observe sa mapa, yung bawat edge ng country is nag-fit sa kabila. Although there are some country na wasak or yung tinatawag natin na scattered, but then if we're going to fix it, para siya talagang puzzle na pwede siyang buuin, at yun ay tinatawag natin na Pangaea before. And then sinabi niya rin dito na it moves apart, still moving apart. Number two is the fossils of same organisms found in different continents: the Mesosaurus, the reptile, and the Glossopteris, the fern plant. Number three is glacier evidence in different climates. Wegener was not believed for a long time because he could not give a way for the continents to move. The discovery of lithospheric plates and seafloor spreading helped to give his theory more credibility. So we have here the photo. The supercontinent, what we call the Pangaea, means all land. So based on your observation here, makikita talaga natin yung broad na meaning ng Pangaea. Plate tectonics and seafloor spreading. Plate tectonics, the theory that Earth's crust is made of plates that move driven by convection currents in asthenosphere and seafloor spreading, based on continental drift ideas but stronger. Seafloor spreading, a hypothesis that there is a crack between places under the sea that allows magma to reach the surface and form new seafloor. We have here the three types of what we call the plate tectonics that spreads. We have the divergent. Plates are moving apart, new crust is created, magma is coming to the surface. So, ang direction niya is moving apart. The convergent naman is coming together siya, or kung tinatawag natin na sumasalpok. And then, kung mapapansin natin, when convergent happens, may mountain na mabubuo. Crust is returning to mantle. Subduction, pushing down in occurring. The third one is the transform. Plates are slipping past each other. Crust is not created or destroyed. Walang pagbabago, sadyang nag-slide lang talaga. And that's all. And the following topics will be reported by Miss Laila Mariel Villanueva.